This tutorial provides an introduction to a system called Easily. Easily is a tool that allows you to create infographics. Infographics combine information and graphic design, and the goal is to be able to communicate information in a way that is appealing and easy to understand. The instructions for logging into your account are available in Schoology. First, you're going to go to the website easel, easel.ly, Easily. Your login is 19, your last name, and then your first initial. So your user ID is the same as the one that you use logging into the school computers. The password for everyone in the class is the same. It is lowercase g, uppercase y, lowercase k, capital M, capital L. When you log into this, what it's going to do is it's going to take you to a screen that shows some visuals that have already been created. The first one here is one that I have created for you, and it's specific to electricity usage. Down below are ones that other people have created on a variety of different topics with a variety of different looks and feels. First, we're going to go in and take a look at and do some editing on the one that I've created for you. So you just click on the picture to go directly to it. Don't worry about editing and changing this picture. What you're really working with here is a copy of an infographic that I made. So any changes you make don't affect what I had created already. So this is an infographic I made about my electricity usage at home. I chose to use this theme of a roadmap because I wanted people to have this idea of going from one bit of information along here down to the next and finally to some ending point here. So the first thing I looked at, I took a screenshot off of my phone. This is an app that actually shows my electricity usage, and this is a 24-hour clock that it's shown on. So the height of each little bar here tells you how much electricity I used during that hour. One pattern I noticed that was consistent was when I'm cooking dinner, the electricity usage goes up significantly. So there's these two little bars here. So the way I represented this in my visual was first with some text. Daily electricity usage is highest when cooking dinner. I added a picture of a little oven there. That's a little bit of information contained in a picture for those who are more visual. And then an arrow connecting that visual to the portion of the graph where the relevant data is. That's the first thing I did. The second one then, we were looking at annual. That means over the course of a whole year or a whole 12-month period. What does my electricity usage look like? Well, I noticed that it was higher in the summer. I put this little graphic of a picture of a sun on top of the graph to indicate or to draw the viewer's eye towards that portion of the graph where the usage was higher. The reason here, and this is included in the text, is that both the air conditioning, which uses a lot of electricity, and the pool pumps for a pool are running. And finally, following on down the road, my average electricity bill ends up being about $108 a month. As you can imagine, that's significantly higher in the summer and significantly lower in the spring. I chose a little graphic of a piggy bank. This is a pre-existing graphic within Easily to show that the conclusion of this had to do with money. It had to do with how much money the electricity cost me. So you can edit this particular graphic, and I'll use editing of it to show you ways to manage the elements in it. Suppose you didn't like this particular arrow here. You can select on the arrow and notice that a light blue outline comes up. So now that's the element that you're working with. And you have some options here of what you want to do with that element. If you want to change its color, suppose you wanted that arrow to be blue instead to sort of match this screenshot. You can make that change. The opacity, that's how much you can see through it. As you slide this, you can see we can make it a slightly see-through arrow. So if you want to have one graphic on top of another and see through it, you can use that. The position just moves it up and down in layers. So for example, right now the arrow is on top of the picture of the phone screenshot. That is the way I want it, but let's say that for some reason I wanted to change that. I could send it so that the arrow, now it's behind the picture of the screenshot. I'd like it to be in front. That worked better. If I want to get rid of that arrow altogether, what I can't do, dragging it off of the canvas doesn't work, then it's just sitting off of the canvas. And I can't hit the delete key on it to get it to go away. That doesn't work either. What I have to do is select it and then trash it. That's all you have to do. All right, you're going to work with, let's go back to the home page. We're going to leave this creation tool, and we're not going to save any changes we've made on this just because we don't need to. So we're going to head back to the main page, and we're going to start creating an infographic from scratch. And I'll show you some tools that you can use. And I apologize that right at the moment this one is just running a bit slowly. Okay, here we are. Under Public Visuals, you'll see a thing that says Start Fresh. And that's really what I'd suggest you do. You could start with somebody else's visual and try and modify it, but it's really easier for what we're doing at first to start fresh. What it's going to do is it's going to take us to a canvas that isn't actually an entirely blank canvas. It's going to be a canvas that has a few reminders on it. Those reminders are things like how to add objects to ours. And there are different objects, and I'll show them to you. How to manage text. It says double click on text to edit or change. What we'd like to do though is we'd like to clear all of these things off of our canvas. We would like to truly start with a blank palette. So let's go to the clear option and say clear our canvas. Alright, there we go. A nice completely blank palette there. Let me walk you through what you see up above. VEAMS stands for Visual Themes. So these are some pre-created themes that you can use. They use particular combinations of graphic elements, backgrounds, fonts, and that kind of stuff. You can see the one that I created resembles what's shown here. So you can drag a VEAM and it'll pre-populate your infographic. There are objects that you can choose to add, and they come in categories. So you can see here is a variety of different animals. You can see that there are things. For example, if we click on the education one, we have some pictures. Maybe we're going to need a picture of a school in our presentation. So I'll just drag and drop a picture of the school onto the canvas. Once that picture is there, I can modify it. I can make it bigger or smaller by grabbing its corner, and I can rotate it. There's this little stick sticking up on the top. If I grab that, I can turn that. I can also change its color. If I don't want that school to be black, I can change its color. Maybe I want it to look more like a red brick one. In objects, you'll see, sometimes you'll see a message that says, want more images? Go Pro. That's something that we have to pay for, so we are limited within here to the objects that are provided. However, if we want a picture that's not available in here, we can choose to upload our own. So upload here will allow us to add files that we've saved to our desktop. So for example, in the graphic that I had created, there was a picture of a sun that I had added on top of a graph to show when my energy usage was the highest. This is the GIF file that I had found that has that sun, so I can simply insert that, and now there it is. The sun is available as an element to create and use in my graphic. So if I want to show the sun shining over a school, I can arrange them however I'd like. After objects, we'll come to backgrounds. So backgrounds are simply just what they say they are. They're backgrounds. They are textures, colors, and sometimes images. You simply grab one and drop it onto your canvas, and it changes the background of everything that's there. So you can play around with different backgrounds until you find one that you like, and you say, oh yeah, that's a look and feel that I like. You can change these later. You're not locked into whichever one you choose first. Shapes is where we'll find elements like the arrow that I had used. You can see that there's a variety of different shapes that are available to you. Again, these are things that you want to just simply drag and drop right into your presentation. So maybe you want to have the sun be thinking something. We can drag a little thought bubble. We can make them bigger, we can make them smaller, we can rotate them, etc. Text, we have three choices: title, header, and body. Depending on whether or not you've chosen a VEAM, these will automatically have certain fonts in them. Mostly what they do is they give you different size text. So when you're going to change something, change some text, you need to double click and it pulls up a text editor window. So if you, imagine, let's say we have a very long sentence. Notice that in the little text editor window, it is wrapping the text around to the second line. But it doesn't do that. This does not automatically wrap text. If I were to grab the edge of this and move it, Instead of wrapping the text, it simply makes it bigger or smaller. So if I want for this long sentence that I created to spill over onto a second line, I have to double click on the text, and then I have to actually insert that line break. I'll put my cursor and hit return. And now the text flows over 2 lines there. You can insert different types of charts. Let's say I wanted a bar chart in here. Notice this bar chart, when I double click on it, it pulls up the data that's in my bar chart. I'm going to suggest to you that what you probably want to do is create your charts in a different tool like Excel or Numbers or Google Spreadsheet, and then copy images of those charts in here. But it's worth knowing that there are chart creators in here. So this is the basic information that you're going to use as you're creating your infographic. You want to make sure you save your work. So up in the top left-hand corner, there's a button that says Save. Here you can click on Save and give it a name. I could call this my first infographic. You probably want to give yours a name that is specific to the information that's on it. And we'll go ahead and save it. It'll switch to saving, and then it'll give you a message that says last saved at 10:56 a.m. When you go back home now, it's going to ask, are you sure you want to leave this creation tool? And you will leave it. And now you'll see the new graphic that you created is available for you to edit next time you're in there. So that's really all you need to know for today.